name's Alyssa. Welcome back to my channel. And I'm going to help you save some of your time and energy today. Okay. We're going to practice asking better questions. Don't want to say right questions, but better. Okay. So I have a list prepared. So if you see me looking down, it's because I didn't want to forget any of the important ones. I think sometimes we struggle to figure out how to make the decisions that we want to get more of the outcomes that we want, simply because we aren't asking ourselves the best question that we could to actually get the answer that we want. Most of the answers that we need are actually within us. We really have the answers, even when the questions and the struggle seem so debilitating and we really just feel paralyzed by it. Often, we know the right answer. And if you're really honest with yourself, you know what I mean. We usually have the answers, but I think sometimes, or at least for me, that it's more of a struggle getting that answer, because I find that I wasn't asking myself the best question or the right question or in the right way to get the answer that we want. And when we ask these questions, usually the best answer is going to be the first one that comes up just naturally when we ask these questions to ourselves. So I just have a list of some of the common questions, and they're mostly going to be based with relationships, but you could apply this technique and this kind of strategy to any area and reframing it, right? Reframing it to focus more on us and more on us internally versus outside world. So, like, when you are looking to date or go out in the world and meet someone, okay, and you're really working to meet the person that you want, we sometimes ask ourselves, how can I change to fit into that person's life? That's dangerous. That's a dangerous mindset to have when you're dating, right? I think a better question to ask and to focus on is, but how do I fit into their life? And put the focus more on us. That is more of what we actually have control over and more what is actually going to lead to us being happy, right? Because how unfair would it be to ask someone else to change for us? That same level of unfairness goes for us too, in the sense of, why should we ask ourselves to change to fit into somebody else's life, right? So asking it, you might still come up with the same answer, but really putting the focus on, how do I fit into that person's life? Am I compatible with that person? Are they compatible with me? Not, how do I change to fit into their life? And for some people, this may come naturally, but I know for me, growing up with kind of a convoluted mindset or image of relationships and having more of an anxious kind of attachment style, and really being highly sensitive and having more of just kind of being taught to tiptoe and change myself to manage someone else's emotions, that has really played a difficult part for me in the sense of romantic partnerships. So I think it was like a subconscious thing. And I know many of you experience the same thing. So I had to teach myself how to reframe some of these mindsets and ask myself a different question. What I think of as a better question, right? A more healthy way to look at it. Not how do we change to fit into somebody else, but do they fit into my life? Okay, that's one. And then also sometimes we ask ourselves, we're so focused on when we're meeting someone or dating someone, do they like me? Right? Oh, am I doing the right thing so they like me? And we hyper focus on, do they like us? Maybe we should sit back for a second and ask ourselves, do we like them? It sounds so simple, but I think many of us are just so concerned with, are they going to like us? We forget how important it is that we pay attention to how we feel with that person. And do we actually like them? Do we actually feel comfortable and safe and like we can be ourselves? And do we feel more energized after being with that person? Or do we feel drained? You know, do we feel like we have to work extra hard to try to earn their attention? But do we even like them as a person? You know, like just shifting that kind of question and putting more of it on how we feel, not so much the focus on someone else, right? That's kind of the pattern with this. So that's why I said that it's something that you can kind of apply to other areas. I'm focusing on the relationship aspect, but you can take this and apply it to other areas of your life that you're struggling with, because we just sometimes have to ask ourselves better questions. Okay, so like another example, instead of maybe thinking, not so much what do I think of them, or like because you can admire someone, right? And you can think highly of them, but asking more of the question of, how do they make me feel, right? So not so much what you think of them, but asking yourself, how do you feel when you're with them? So that it's kind of similar to the point I made in the last example, where it's really just putting the focus on you and really thinking of, how do you feel after you leave an interaction with them? How do you feel when you're not with them? Do they make you feel insecure, anxious, stressed, worried, these type of things? Because that's really something that's noteworthy, not so much just how you feel about the person or what you think about the person. You might think that they're a great person, and that's great, but you might not feel great after being with them. And that's really something that I know I never really thought of in the past dating or in a relationship. And that's really huge, especially entering in, because that's a good preview of what you're going to feel with them throughout the whole entire thing. So, you know, if you aren't leaving interactions feeling light and energized and secure and peaceful and happy, maybe you need to reevaluate what they're capable of giving you, or like the relationship, right? It's just a better way to ask the question, not focusing so much on what you think of them or what you think they could be, but how do you feel when you're with them or after you leave them? All right, so another one. Instead of saying, what can I say to them to get them to hear me, or what do I need to do to get them to change, but maybe asking, do they actually want to change, or are they actually capable of changing? So instead of framing a question that makes it to where you're trying to change them, maybe it's asking the question, and it might be a tough question. This one can be really hard, but it might just be a matter of, are they capable of changing, or do they actually want to change? Because us as humans, it's really a hard thing to change. So expecting that we can get somebody else to change and be how we want them to be is really next to, I don't want to say impossible, but it's not likely, right? It's hard for us to change on our own, let alone trying to get someone else to change. So asking yourself, are they capable of changing? Do they even want to change. And that can be a hard pill to swallow, and really just being honest and accepting the answer, right? Because that's going to get you closer to figuring out if this is a relationship that can work for you, that can fulfill you, right? That's going to lead you to that answer faster than trying to go through all of these different strategies that you can do to get them to hear what you want from them, or to hear how you want them to be, or to hear these changes that you want them to make, right? It's asking it differently, asking them, maybe that's sitting down, having a conversation with them, saying, do you want to change this behavior, right? Do you want to change this? And really just having an authentic view of it, and kind of stepping out of it, pulling your emotion out of it a little bit, and just being honest, are they capable? Because that's going to lead you to a totally different outlook and answer than what can I do, frantically, what can I do to get this person to, act or be the way that I want to make me more happy, That's really a difficult, and I also think kind of a dangerous way, because we can't change other people, and we shouldn't want to, right? They need to want to change. And it's even hard to change when they want to change. And just understanding that has to come from them. So asking yourself that question, are they capable? Do they want it? And okay, so we ask ourselves this question sometimes, or this can sometimes be like a people pleaser, or this can sometimes happen in like family dynamics too. So sometimes we focus more on the question of like, what do others want or think I should do for my life, versus asking, what do I want out of my life, right? And really stepping into our own power and our own authenticity. Like, what do we want? It's not what do our parents want. It's not what does our spouse want, or what they think we should do, or what they think is best. We sometimes focus so much on that, and we can put so much weight on that and end up trying to do that to please them, or because we think that they know us best. And we focus on that question versus, what do we really want out of our life? Where do we really want to go? What do we really want to spend our time on? That's really going to lead you to more of the outcomes you want, more of the happiness and the fulfillment and the peace, and just really overall just well-being, right? That's going to lead you more to that than focusing on what somebody else wants for us. And that can be tough as well, especially if that's just something that you've struggled with, right? Is just focusing more on what someone else wants for you more than what you want. So that takes practice, especially if it's in the family dynamic. So see, that's kind of the pattern here with these questions, and how you reframe them is really just pulling the focus more in on us and how we really feel about it, and focusing on how we feel on the inside and what we want, and asking a question from that place versus how can we control something on the outside. So another and last example that I have for today, when someone says they're not ready yet, this one can be tough, right? Sometimes we hear that phrase when we're dating, that they're just not ready, okay? Instead of maybe asking and strategizing, what do I need to do to make them ready, right? Or change their mind about how ready they are, right? Whatever that means. Ask yourself, how much time are you willing to spend or waste? I don't necessarily want to use that word so much, but just how much time are you willing to lose waiting for them to maybe be ready? That's a better question, and a more powerful question, and it's just a more powerful question, right? To ask ourselves, how much time are we willing and energy are we willing to put into this when they're telling us right at the beginning that they're not ready? And that answer is going to vary, for everybody. And if it's worth it to you, fine, but just really finding that authentic answer. And because some of us don't have that much time to waste. Some of us, maybe they do. And either way is okay. It doesn't matter either way. And as far as, losing the time or wasting the time, we get to decide if that time was a waste or not. We get to decide, if the time and energy we put into somebody is a waste or not, right? One person might think it is, one person might think it's not, because you can kind of decide what you learned or what the experiences were, right? But really asking yourself, how much time and energy are you willing to put into that when you don't really know if or when they would potentially be ready, right? That's kind of a lot to put on a potential or on a hope. But you get to decide that. That's the power. That's the amazing part of this, is that we get to decide, but I think we get to that answer faster if we ask some of these better questions, right? Ask it in a different way. And sometimes that's what we have to do. You might have to reframe these a few times to really figure out the best thing for you to do. You might have to ask a few different questions, but I think sometimes we tend to stick to the same type of questions that we're asking ourselves, and then we wonder why we aren't able to get to a solution very well. Try asking a different question, okay? It takes practice and some intention and some pausing and thinking about it, but if it's anything like me, it saves you a lot of time and energy and some heartbreak. Just ask a better question. Ask it differently and see how it feels and see if it helps you get to a solution that fits, okay? And get you more of the outcomes that you want in your life. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.